There's something special about this piano.
The possibilities of sound.
Steinway makes the best piano.
Right.
But I think that, there's a lot more to it than just the name.
You are listening to And If Love Remains, a unique show spotlighting people, ideas, science, culture, and art. Your host, Mike Lovett.
Yes, Rachel, you are listening to that great podcast in the sky, And If Love Remains, and I am its humble messenger, Mike Levitt. Welcome to the show. So happy. We are actually sitting at Steinway Hall. I'm super excited to have two of my favorite people here. Aline Boyd, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Aline Boyd, music, oh, so good. My good friend, business partner, amazing person. We have stuff to talk about. And then Henry. How you doing, Henry?
I'm good.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Henry Welsby. I run the Steinway store here in Scottsdale. So excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Oh, it's absolutely a pleasure. It is wonderful to have you here and talk all things piano, all things music. And I had to have Aline because she's like the piano expert. She's amazing. So much fun.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. First, I want to tell us just a quick, a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What brought you to Scottsdale? And then we'll talk about Steinway and piano and music and stuff in a minute.
Well, it's actually a funny story, Mike. I grew up in Buffalo, back in New York. Big Bills fan, biggest Bills fan in Arizona, probably. We love our Bills. But I met a girl in college, and she sent me out to, actually, can we pause this for just a second?
Yeah. And we're back from that commercial break. Henry, you were saying you met a girl.
Yeah, so I met a girl in college. It was the first day of college. Her name's Erin. And she was a psychology major. I was a humble economics major. I actually never majored in music. I was just telling Aline that.
I am surprised.
I am too.
He's a great pianist.
With how good a pianist he is, yeah.
Thank you. So I did piano in college. Just private lessons still, ever learning, as we all are, I suppose. And at the end of college, me and Erin decided that we were going to date, and she ended up moving to Arizona for a year of service. She did the AmeriCorps Volunteers with a little place called Maggie's Place here in the Valley. And I said, well, I can't just sit here in Buffalo while you're enjoying all the sun down in Arizona.
It's hard to date.
Yes, especially, across the country. So I decided I'd give it a shot, I never said I'd move away from Buffalo, but I did. I got a job in the mortgage business. I was selling mortgage loans back in the day.
Right.
Realized that was not my passion. And when, everything went kind of upside in the mortgage business, Steinway was there for me.
Okay.
They were building the store here in Scottsdale. They asked me to run it, and I said, of course.
Wow.
And here we are. So
that's wonderful.
It's been a heck of a journey, but it's all the thing that matters is that you get there. That's it at the end of the day.
No, I understand. Trust me, I understand that journey.
Yeah.
I get it, but that's a great story. That's wonderful.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
And we're going to talk about Steinway. We're going to talk about some of your projects coming up. We're going to talk about all kinds of fun stuff.
Absolutely.
Aline, people from the podcast know who you are. She's an amazing pianist from Rio, but tell us a little bit, what do you got going on? We've got some projects that we're working on.
Yeah, so we have some projects now that I'm going back to performance mode.
Yeah.
So I have been practicing a lot. We have a group, right? Ivory and Bo, that we play together. I play with you and Jamie, and that plays the violin, and Dr. Shui, who plays the cello. So we are performing a lot. We played at Arizona Opera 1 month ago, probably.
Yeah.
And we have other projects coming up. I will be next week in Chicago for the conference NCKP, where we are going to be talking about AI, the use of AI, how AI can help pianists and piano teachers. It's going to be very interesting because we can be afraid of AI. Are we going to have a job? Are we going to be able to continue, being a pianist? But we can use the technology to help us. So this is one of the projects that I have been working on with people from the Netherlands. And also, my project in Brazil, I am the vice president of the World Piano Teachers Association. So we are going to have amazing guests for the upcoming months for giving lectures and master classes. And I'm very excited for that.
And another big thing that I need to tell people about is Aline's new podcast. Tell us about your podcast. I'm excited about this podcast.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Even though I don't speak Portuguese quite yet. I still have lessons that are in the books, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Okay, just a little bit. Yes, I have a podcast that I just released yesterday that is called Diálogos Musicais, in which I talk about the relationship between music and poetry, music and business, music and visual arts, music and psychology, music and philosophy, because this is the result of 6 years of research that I have been doing on my own. And I'm excited that this is out there and is in Portuguese.
It is, yes.
Stunning.
No,
you never stop, do you?
No way. No way.
No.
It's a great, I've been, helpful in as far as just being able to engineer that podcast, and it's exciting. I'm excited to see
my
you,
friend.
see you blow up like a superstar. Shine like a diamond.
Okay.
But, Henry, I want to talk a little bit about, well, first of all, you mentioned your kind of background, but tell us about your piano background, because there's like the vocation background, but now you find yourself in this piano world. But you've always been a player. Talk about a little bit about that.
Yeah, my dad was a player, actually. I think that's how all pianists start, one of their parents plays, My mom played a little bit growing up, but I think it's definitely a gene that I have, because my dad went to Juilliard for a year, and he decided maybe that's not the thing, and he went to the CIA, Culinary Institute of America, not the agency.
You did that on purpose.
Not the agency.
That's so good.
It's a family joke. I became a chef. He said, I'd rather keep it as a
I
hobby.
was a chef at the CIA.
My dad's in the CIA. Oh, he's just a chef. But a damn good chef. That's true.
Yeah, I bet.
So...
You'd have to be.
Yeah, he's a creative guy. Yeah. And but I remember looking at pictures of myself. We always had a piano in the house.
Amazing.
It wasn't a Steinway, but it was a Hardman and Peck. The action was so dense. It's definitely a workout, that piano. But when I was always a Steinway guy, though. My uncle had a Steinway in his house. It was one that he inherited from a local teacher in the area. She actually taught my grandma, the person that owned the Steinway.
Yeah.
And my grandma learned on this Steinway. It's a little 5'10", nothing crazy. But it's a fantastic instrument. It's 101 years old this year.
Oh, wow.
And, like anybody else, when you move out, your mom gets rid of your thing as well. My mom got rid of my piano when I moved to Arizona. And it really, yeah, exactly. Oh, it killed me. And my whole life, I've always wanted this Steinway. And finally, my Uncle Joe said, "Hey, Henry, why don't you just take the piano? I'm not using it. Go ahead."
No way.
And I said, "Let's go."
That's great.
I'm one of the lucky ones, yeah. But it still is in great playable shape. And now I have it here in Arizona, all the way from Buffalo. So, that's a nice little family heirloom that I have. But in terms of my study, I started when I was really young. I was about 3. And always had it. I had really wonderful teachers.
Amazing.
The one most notable, her name is Marilyn Calbasa. She's still kicking, actually. She's out in Buffalo. Yeah. She just retired. But
I don't mean to sound like surprised she's still kicking. I'm happy she's still kicking.
No, I think of myself as a young guy. I don't know. But she's great, and she really introduced me to classical music. It wasn't until I started playing Bach.
He's touched for Bach.
Yeah,
the best.
that's
best.
high praise. Thank you. But I love Bach. That's what I started off on with classical music. The little Alfred books with the pictures of them on the front.
Right.
And they came with CDs. And I remember sitting in the back of my parents' car just listening to the CDs on a Walkman, clouding out any other interference from the radio. Any modern music was not in my maybe you call me a young snob, but really it was something that I really, really loved, and I really wanted to play like that. And so I started off with Bach, and we graduated through other composers, of course. But then when I went to college, I studied under a guy named Frank Shinta, and he introduced me to choral works and choirs and harmonies and a lot more different Baroque music. And I think that's kind of where my passion sits today. I have a lot of inspiration from Glenn Gould and other Steinway artists like Vickinger Olufsen. Really clear, just distinct Bach. I chase it almost.
Yeah.
You get that feeling, I'm sure.
And I want to get your take on this too, Aline, but Henry, like, what is special to you about, we call it classical music, maybe you might call it art music or concert music. Like what is different as opposed to, jazz, rock, pop, like, and I don't mean like we can analyze the difference, but I mean emotionally. Yeah. What makes it special to you?
Yeah, I think it really goes back to my days with Marilyn in my early stages of classical music. It was new. I think it's something that you have to kind of discover on your own. Mm-hmm. It's not anything that you can discover unless somebody shows it to you and then you develop a relationship with it.
Right.
Right. And I think from a young age, that was the first thing I really musically developed a relationship with, was Bach, and it kind of stuck with me. And you think, wow, what a weird 6-year-old kid listening to Bach, but sometimes it just clicks. I mean, maybe it's counterpoint, maybe it's the pictures that you develop in your head when you listen to it. Something Marilyn taught me at a young age was to play emotionally and to think about the piece emotionally more so than just the notes that are on the page. And I listen for that. There are, how many versions of the Goldberg variations are there? Thousands,
right?
Probably, right? But there are only a few select good ones.
Exactly, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's all about, it's a lot about technique, but it's more about the emotion of the player, and then having the piano be an extension of themselves. And
the piano really is, I think, the great amplifier. Like it tells you who you are, as a player and as an artist. Aline, what about you? Like concert music, classical music. What about it is special and unique to?
Everything is special. I remember when I was a kid, my favorite composer is Bach. Okay? It's why I praise you so much, because I love playing Bach. Is the composer that I play the most, and when I heard you playing, I was like, whoa, he has such a wonderful touch. I was very like, whoa,
wow.
No surprise.
Yeah.
And in a good way, because I play a lot of Bach. He's my favorite composer. For the ones who don't know, I didn't start with piano, I started with organ.
Really?
Yes, I started with organ. So I played a lot of Bach in organ.
Oh.
And then I was like, okay, I think I want to study piano. I love the instrument, why not?
Right.
And all the possibilities that the piano brings. Playing Bach, because a lot of people say, oh, Bach is so boring, Aline, why you love so much? Well, there are so many possibilities. Actually,
yes.
He's a romantic, even though he's a Baroque, but he's a romantic. You can do so many things.
Yeah.
There are so many layers, and I love the complexity of the voice. The counterpoint is my favorite composer, and you know that for sure.
I do know that.
So, everything is special. I think when I hear Bach or when I play, it makes me a better human being. It humbles me. Mm. It gives me hope.
Yeah.
I think his music really gives me hope. When I'm not doing okay, when I'm sad, is where I can find peace. Wow. That's the way I think.
That's beautiful. I think
super profound.
Great art will do that because it says something, and it's something that's really, it speaks to the soul in a way that you can't do without great depth. And I think that's what okay, we have 3 Bach aficionados here. I love Bach.
Yeah. He's
my favorite. He's the first great Western composer. He's just I love everything about what Bach brings to the table. And in my mind, I think everything is built on Bach. Like all of Western music is
Everything.
built on Bach.
Everything.
And there's still, and even with that, with everything both accentuating or the opposite of accentuating, like subverting what Bach has done. There's still, you listen to Bach and you listen to, and it's like everybody's trying to like get to that level.
Yeah.
You know, try to get there, and there's always more to discover. And it's really beautiful. And I think that, to me, I think that's what separates like great art music, great concert music, great classical music from really all the other genres is that it's got the greatest span of expressivity.
Yeah.
Like you can say more than with any other genre.
I really agree.
Yeah, and Bach was like the greatest improvisationist of all time.
Exactly.
was.
You know, and you think about how he wrote his pieces, and you think about how people write their music today, and it all stems from improv in some fashion, right? But for Bach to come up with just thousands of counterpoints and melodies and, you know, several melodies all encapsulated in one piece, like that just blows my mind. In fact, you know, my teacher in college, Frank Shinta, exposed me to the art of fugal improvisation, which is like, I think impossible.
Wow.
Even still. I mean, this guy was, you know, he was insane.
So-
He studied at the Glenn Gould Conservatory, which was at that point the Royal Conservatory in Toronto, and you know, of course, Glenn Gould and all of that there. But there's a lot of inspiration that I take from just that one piano lesson, where he showed me, he played Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on the piano and turned it into a fugue.
Oh,
And it blew my mind. I remember there are very few musical moments in my life where it just hits you in the gut. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. And it really changed my perspective on how I think about music. So Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on a Fugue. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, you know, one thing after
Hashtag
another.
fact. that's amazing. Speaking of compositions and composers, I'm excited because you've got your own project coming up.
Yes.
Very soon.
I
Talk
do.
about, Henry's written some music and is going to be recording it. Talk a little bit about that and your inspiration for that. And
Sure. I mean, a lot of it comes from my childhood, believe it or not. You know, there was one piece that I wrote. It's called Mom's Garden. My mom has...
beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I have it on Spotify if you want to check it out, but we're going to work with Mike here and get some better recordings done because I only did it off my iPhone, you know? I was too excited. But my mom had 6 kids, including myself. I have 5 younger siblings. And for each one, she planted a garden in her front yard. And I remember waking up to school and hearing all the sounds of the buses and the wind chimes and seeing the birds and the leaves, and everything changed throughout the year. And that's really what inspired me to write this piece. And working at Steinway, of course, has its perks because you have a concert grand at your disposal all the time.
You get to play on the most beautiful pianos, right?
Yes, exactly. So, you know, a combination of that and the instruments that we have here at the gallery, I mean, you know, the options are endless. Right?
Yeah.
Endless. And that's really where I, you know, discovered that one. I have another one called the Zebra Stripe Waltz, which was inspired by a good family friend of ours who has since passed away, but was an interior designer. And he said that every house should have a zebra striped chair, which I believe in. I actually do.
You know what? Yeah, absolutely.
Or a zebra striped something, a rug or whatever.
That's why my place is empty. I need a zebra
Zebra
stripe
striped
chair.
chair. Just got to spike it up a little bit. But when you think about chromatic scales, what do you think about? You think about black and white zebra stripes.
exactly.
Right.
So there's a lot of chromaticism in that piece. But also, you know, I think everybody plays Christmas songs. Everybody does.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of Christmas repertoire that, you know, could be released. And I think that would go on this as well. So sort of like a Christmas album.
That sounds,
Amazing. With
that's
some
going to be
original
so
works.
fun. And I'm privileged and excited to work with you on that. That's going to be
I'm excited
fun.
to work with you too.
It'll be cool.
It's going to be great.
So I want to talk about the piano, and Aline, I want to start with you, and Henry, because I know you have a unique perspective on this too. But I mean, it's a kind of an open-ended question, but what makes a great piano in your mind? Like, what do you, when you sit down, you play a piano, what are the characteristics that make one piano say there's something special about this piano?
The possibilities of sound, I would say, that is so incredible. For example, this piano, this is Steinway here.
We're looking at a 9-foot Steinway
Exactly.
D.
Yes.
Amazing instrument. When I tried, I was like, oh my gosh, there are so many things that we can do. So many layers to the sound. So the thing that it just captured my attention is the possibility of different sounds.
I think people will find that interesting because I think when the layman, shall we say, think about the piano, they think about what a piano sounds like, and knowing that a piano can sound. You can have layers of sounds within a composition.
Exactly.
I think is an important thing that is subtle, but when you start to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. So the piano, of course, this also depends on the pianist, right?
Sure.
The way we play. But when you see a piano that offers you different possibilities, different layers of sound, you feel like just so happy and glad. That's what happened when I played this one.
Because you're able to express
the music itself.
The music itself.
Yeah.
And I love you said this before that we, we are, how do you put it? We
are servers.
We are servers to the music.
Yes, it's why there is no possibility of having ego, because we are all servers. The real star is the music. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. We are all servers of the music, and the composers are the stars in the music. We are just here to serve and do our best. Our humble, just how can I make this beautiful music becomes life, right? It's through a lot of trying and working and a lot of deep thinking about the music itself and a lot of hard work. And this is our job, right? To bring this to life.
I love that. That's the job of the artist. What about for you? And what makes a great piano? What makes a certain piano? We can all get pianos in tune. We can all get, they all have hammers. Yeah. They all have actions of some sort. But what makes a piano special?
Yeah. There's a bunch of different ways of looking at it. My perspective is that, I'm the Steinway guy.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's definitely where I'm going.
There you go. So to answer your question,
a Steinway
makes the best piano.
Right.
But I think that, there's a lot more to it than just the name, right? It takes a year to build a Steinway piano. Mm-hmm. And it's generations of craftsmen that are in the factory. And if you go through the factory, it's a very magical experience. You don't even have to play piano to know that the Steinway factory is a special place. Mm-hmm. It's hallowed ground, in my opinion. And you go through there, and there are guys with chisels and hammers building these things on their backs, bending the rim by hand. I mean, it's like, you think it's fake, but it's real. It feels like...
It's like you stepped back 100 years.
Yeah. I describe it as it's like Santa's workshop, I don't think there's, really any other company that does it quite like we do. Anything, cars, furniture, anything. And so you have the craftsman. That's the first part. The birth of the piano, the way that the piano is built, the way it comes off the loading dock, better than the one that came off before it. We're always trying to make the best one. So there's a lot of passion in that. But then the passion of the artist too. How can I myself, Steinway side, company side, factory side, how do I connect with the piano? And I, like Aline, look for different colors and nuances in the piano. Every Steinway is good, I can say that. But I don't connect with every Steinway. Mm-hmm. Maybe some are brighter, maybe some are warmer, some are heavier, some are lighter, right? Mm-hmm. There's definitely a sweet spot there. So if I'm shopping for piano, I'm looking for how I control it, right? How am I controlling the crispiness of my trills? How am I, utilizing the colors and the depth of the bass? How does the top part sound, right? Mm-hmm. I'm looking for all of that.
Yeah.
And I found a couple pianos in my life, not many, that I can do that with. But most of them, if not all of them, have been Steinway products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the it's interesting because from a music production background that I have, if you look at modern music and you look at how it's built, or how producers and songwriters create music, they're always looking for that like unique thing. And it's funny, like the more unique it becomes, the more everyone copies each other, and so it becomes the same. And so a lot of kind of hip thing to do for the last maybe 20 years in music production is to get that kind of lo-fi piano sound, dirty.
Yeah.
Maybe in fact there's been a number of products that specifically mimic the sound of the muted piano, the velvet piano,
like a grandma's upright type
like a grandma's upright kind of thing, or it's out of tune a lot of times.
Yeah.
Trying to get that Beatles sound a little bit.
Yeah.
And which is cool, but I think like what they're trying to do is have that kind of maximum, and it's impossible to do unless you have a fine instrument, an amazing player,
right,
and great music.
Yeah.
And that those three things are so rare. But what they're trying to do is mimic what you can get from a piano like Steinway, or any kind of great piano that an artist can connect with and really express himself. They're trying to mimic that in these kind of artificial ways, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right. I also think that the Steinways, the way that they design the piano and the way that patents expire, kind of developed the way how modern pianos are built these days. For instance, the way the bass strings cross over the middle of the piano.
Yeah,
they used to go straight back. That was a Steinway patent for the bass strings to cross over the middle of the piano, because that's the richest part of the soundboard, but it also elongates the bass string, so you get more sustain, right? So that patent, of course, expired, and now all of the piano makers adopt that. So am I a Steinway snob? Yeah, but do I think all pianos are good? Yes, absolutely. I mean, that Steinway is not the only piano out there, and there's a lot of different variants out there that adapt Steinway patents and Steinway designs and maybe even materials, right? But I think it's important to say that it started with us first and developed. And that's such a really special thing. I mean, it's kind of like, we were talking about Bach earlier. Now Bach is the foundation of most music. Well, I think Steinway is the foundation of most pianos.
I agree.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think like if you want to, like, what's the standard of a great piano? If you want to talk about like Plato's kind of idea of like the perfect piano. Like I think like if you were to create a perfect piano in your mind, it would have Steinway on the name.
Yeah.
And I think that and every piano, good or bad, better or not, like it doesn't matter. Like they're all judged against Steinway.
Yeah, I think Horwitz said that actually. It's
Oh.
the piano by which all others are judged.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think that's true. I think that's the. I mean that. Have you guys ever seen that movie Get Shorty?
No.
No.
Okay, it is a funny movie. It's got John Travolta in it. It's hilarious. But there's a scene where he plays a mobster and he comes out to LA to be in the movie business.
Oh, cool.
Okay, and so he rents a car and he goes to the rental place and they bring out this minivan and he's like, I ordered a Cadillac. This isn't a Cadillac. It was kind of like the old Jerry Seinfeld thing, you didn't take, whatever. And and the guy turned to him and goes, well, this is a minivan. It's a whatever. It's the Cadillac of minivans. And then John Travolta's character's like, okay. So he goes with that throughout the entire movie. He's like, it's the Cadillac of minivans. By the end of the movie, you have all these stars driving up in the same minivan.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
It's great. It's Steinway is the Cadillac of pianos.
Yeah. That's a good way of saying it.
But Aline, I know, like for you, like if you ever go to a concert, isn't it always funny as a pianist, like It's the one. In Oregon would be the same thing, but it's just piano's so much more common. Like it's the one instrument that you never know what you're going to be playing when you get to a venue.
Exactly.
Wow. Yes.
You know, everybody else brings their own instrument.
Exactly. I'm jealous of people who can bring their own instruments in this way. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you show up and you're totally at the mercy of what that instrument brings to the
Exactly,
table.
yes.
Isn't it a sigh of relief? There's a great story. Oscar Peterson tells a story of when he was playing at a bar, and there was another old timer there, and I can't remember who the pianist was, but Oscar Peterson was young, and he was playing at the bar, and the piano was terrible, and so the old man goes to the owner and says, "Hey, this kid's good. Like you need to get him a new piano, get him something to play." And the bartender goes, "What are you talking about? I just had that piano repainted last week."
Yeah, you know, as long as it looks like one and it sounds like one,
Right.
You know, that's all that matters for 90% of people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the other 10% is us. You know?
Right,
Yeah.
as piano snobs. By the way, Aline, how do you deal with that when you show up and you see you're at a piano and your heart kind of sinks because it's like maybe one of the keys doesn't work, maybe it's a little out of tune, maybe even just like people don't understand like the difference in action in pianos.
Yes, well.
how do you handle that? How do you what's your mindset?
Well, I never performed in a piano that was not working.
Wow,
That's good.
that is good.
But
I have.
Oh, I'm so sorry for that. But I have played in some pianos. I have performed in some pianos that I was like, oh my gosh, this piano, I don't feel like is an extension of me. I really feel that I was like, how I can adjust to the instrument. But I think that's pretty much when we go and we play in any piano, we are adjusting.
Yeah.
Every single piano, even the same model, they are different. It's like people. They can be very similar sometimes in the personality, but they have their difference. It's the
Idiosyncrasies,
same.
shall we say?
Exactly, yes. It's the same. The piano is always, it makes me think, like when I go to I try different pianos, or if I have to perform, it's like how I can become a better musician to produce a good sound in that piano.
See, and that's the key, I think, is it's always about the sound.
It is. How can I get a good sound? Because I remember I had a lesson with Mikhail Voskresensky, who is a Russian pianist. He was teaching in Moscow at Moscow Conservatory, and now he's in New York. So I went to New York to have lessons with him. And then he was telling me, Aline, it's not about just the piano, it's about you. It's not about you like, oh, I don't like this piano. You can have your opinion, but it's like, what you do to adjust. So he was telling me that he was playing in a piano that he felt that the mechanism was different, like in the medium and higher part of the instrument, the register. It was a different type of, not so hard to press the keys. And the lower part was completely, it was not adjusted. And he was in the middle of the performance, and he was like, how I can adjust?
Yeah.
He was able to adjust because, well, he's a great artist. But he was telling Aline, you have to develop the skills to listen better and to adjust yourself.
Wow.
Even if you don't like the instrument. I have my preference, he was telling me, but it's me as an artist. I have to develop the skills to really, really get the better that I can from the piano.
It is true.
He was correct.
The most important aspect of a musician is their ears.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really. I was telling, in fact, the meeting I was at just before I got here, I was telling them that take away my hands, take away my mouth, take away my eyes, just don't take away my ears. Which of course he then goes into the Princess Bride shtick of I'm going to keep your ears. Why? So every hideous great movie. But it's true. Like the most important thing that we bring to our table is our minds and our ears connected.
Yeah.
If we can hear. Because the truth is, the audience doesn't care. Like, the audience doesn't care that you're on a crappy piano.
Yeah.
The audience doesn't care, the struggles or how hard you work to get there. They really don't. What they care about is the moment that you create art.
Exactly.
Yeah, the connection.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And talking about sound, I was reading the book that the students of Chopin, they just say how Chopin was teaching, right? So Chopin was obsessed with sound. And it's so interesting. This is why I'm changing also my approach with myself and with my students. In the first lesson, in the first couple of lessons, or in the first month, I feel more concerned now about creating on them, making them to think more about the sound, to the sound more than anything else.
Yeah.
So Chopin was completely obsessed with the sound. So the students in the book, the students of Chopin, they say like in the letters, right? That when Chopin, he did not like the sound, he would make repeat. He could stay for hours until he really get the sound that he wants. So the importance of sound is is big, is so important.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's the most important.
It is the most important thing.
That's what people are reacting to. That's what people are emotionally tied to, is the sound. It's actually the only physical part. Man, I think I'm going to say this. I'm going to make this claim. I think it's the only art that you actually have a physical connection to, because you are feeling those vibrations.
Yeah.
You are physically experiencing the music.
But it's also a mental work.
Right.
Like Glenn Gould said, we don't play the piano with fingers, we play with mind. So the concept of a good sound starts here, and then how we develop the mechanisms that are necessary to bring that to life, that is our work. It's difficult.
It's a universal language too.
It is.
Yeah.
It's the only one that everybody in the world speaks.
Exactly.
You know, like
Yeah.
think about that. When we talk about vibrations too, I have this conversation all the time with technicians and people that come in and think they know a lot about pianos, and they mention this 432 hertz.
Right.
You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
It's like how the pianofortes and the older pianos were tuned.
Yeah.
Now the piano's tuned 440.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will try and tune their pianos down to 432, and it's just not built to sustain that sort of tension. The Steinway operates at 440. That's how it's supposed to be. But
That's what VSTs and computers are for, boys and girls.
yeah, that's how we get that fuzzy, beautiful lo-fi sound.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. But it's interesting that way, when you think about vibrations and you think about Bach and music and how it's all connected. And I think it's just, the mind at the very base level of it. Like, how do you communicate and connect to the listener?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And because that's, and not to get totally metaphysical, but that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a connection that goes beyond the notes on the page, that goes beyond beyond time. Because what's beautiful about music, and again, I think this is a unique aspect of music, is that we're actually trying to communicate simultaneous with something that happened 300 years ago.
Yeah.
It is incredible.
How do you recreate the sound diary?
Right.
That's what I think.
Right, but you have to do it in a modern way, because I had who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody, Tom Posen. He was a music theorist out of Idaho, and he was talking about a famous clarinet concerto, and he said what was unique about that clarinet concerto was the fact that it was using a clarinet and the sound was so bizarre to people. And it was so unique. He said, it's interesting, like if you played that clarinet concerto today, people wouldn't have the same reaction. You would almost have to play it with like a synthesizer.
Yeah.
Or something that like to get the same effect that audience got back at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But do you ever think that they were searching for the modern sound that we have now? Like, I think about
that's interesting.
Yeah, think about if Bach had a modern piano.
Yeah.
Tuned at 440. What would he be doing?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. I like this conversation because there are so many people who say, "Oh, Aline, we cannot do this in Bach." I know we have to respect the style and but when people say like, "No, we cannot use even a little bit of a pedal," there are people who think that even a little bit. Well, I think Bach was much ahead of his time. I think we can.
I agree.
I think he was not just thinking about the time he was alive. He
Yeah.
was really beyond his time. So it is a tough conversation.
Well, and you think about the instruments that Bach, composed for. Like none of them was a pianoforte.
No.
And so the fact that we can try to reimagine his music on a piano is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
It is.
And all the interpretations that come with that.
Right.
I think we're advantaged because we know what Bach had and what we have today.
Exactly.
What do you think he'd choose? I don't know.
Well, and it makes you think I do think as far as an external instrument, the piano is the perfect instrument.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
It's built for the human body. It's built for full expression. But like to what we're talking about, like imagine what instruments or what even pianos will sound like 50 or 100 years from now.
Yeah. That too.
What innovations, what kind of, things will be considered like just, like playing Bach today in a concert hall, is not just common, it's required.
Yes.
Versus, that would never been done during Bach's time. Well, what instruments are they going to be playing Bach on 100 years from now?
Yeah.
To reinterpret that same.
Did you ever hear about the Bach on synth? You ever hear that?
I have heard that, yeah.
It's very interesting.
Oh, I do.
Talk about it, though. I'm sure the audience has no clue.
I don't know. I actually don't know a whole heck of a lot about it, but I think about it as Bach on synth with different synth pads and
Right.
tones and weird things like, I don't know, like lead tones or, just electronic sounds. It must have been a thing in the 80s, I think. And then you think about other bands like ABBA.
Oh,
ABBA is,
love ABBA.
very classical in nature, right? The way that they do things, but they added like their little 80s synthesizer twist
Exactly.
to it.
Right.
That's how I think about Bach on synth. And I don't know if there was any one guy doing it or if there was a bunch of people doing it. I don't know. I have to look into it. But kind of interesting when in this terms of this conversation. It's like, how does Bach sound? And you ever mess around on a keyboard too with different sounds?
Sure.
Different transposing buttons and all that. You do the cheats. I used to do that a lot myself. And you think about like how, what's the word I'm trying to come up with? Expressive you can be. If you play Bach on a piano versus Bach on an organ, it's so different.
So different.
So different because you're getting that tone that the song goes with.
exactly.
Right? Like if you play a Busoni transcription, like a Passacaglia or something like a fugue or a toccata or whatever on the piano, it's impressive. It makes you sound like you have 40 fingers, but when you do it on the organ, it's just like that's that higher power that piece was written for, and you think, man, like you really just can't get the same effect. So
Exactly. It is.
yeah, I don't know if you have anything to say on that.
No, it is incredible.
Yeah.
It is incredible.
Well, and I think, and I think that's the important part of the artist. Like you take a piece like that and you play it on the piano, like the question isn't really, can I make it sound like an organ? The question is really, can I say something different on the piano that can't be said on the organ?
Yeah, exactly. Can I? What does my voicing sound like on the piano versus the organ?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and you hear like an artist, from the jazz world, like Chick Corea, who's just, one of the greatest pianists of all time. And his ability to take concepts that have been around that are built on Bach, built on Mozart, built on Beethoven, built on Scott Joplin, built on all these greats, and then twist it and turn it and create something that is both accessible and says something unique. I think that's what makes great art, is to be able to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a really interesting recording of the orchestral suite number 3 and it's Air on the G string.
Okay.
Transcribed by Friedrich Gulda, who is a jazz pianist.
Yeah.
But also classical, I guess.
Yes,
in some
I think
ways.
he was one of the teachers of Martha Argerich.
Yes, he was.
Amazing. He could go into both worlds,
It's
worlds.
I mean, that in and of itself is incredible.
Yeah.
I think if Bach were around today, he would be like Friedrich Gulda. But I think
Yeah.
this recording of the Air on the G String by Gulda was. Am I saying his name right, Gulda?
Yes, it's correct.
I have heard nothing like that in my life. Go look it up. Gulda's transcription on Air on the G String, phenomenal. And just like from, it's a lot more than the tone. It's the facial expression, and when you're watching this artist perform this piece, and Chick Corea was on the stage with him. There were two pianos pushed up against each other.
Okay.
So really fascinating to have these two up on stage with each other with two Steinway Ds playing this Bach Air on the G String. And, you hear it all the time. You hear it at weddings. You hear it at, you think, oh my God, this song is so overplayed. How can I ever connect with it? Well, Gulda does that.
Exactly.
For me, at least.
Wow. I'll check
Yeah,
this out.
I need to look that up now.
It's incredible. I mean, I've never
check
heard
it out.
anything like it. So, yeah, check it out.
I think, yeah. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about a little bit is or one of the thoughts I had is like because I know so many people that are, they're looking for a piano. They want a piano to play, and maybe they don't have 150 grand to throw down on a Steinway D for their home.
I wish I did.
Right?
Or the space even.
Or the space.
Yeah.
Right. It's not exactly suitable for a home environment, by the way. So don't, you can buy one, but yeah. What are some of the things, Henry, and I really want you to speak to this, is what should be people looking for in a piano? And I want you to mention some of the other lines at Steinway, because I played a Boston here that was just magnifique.
And the Essex is also
And
good.
the Essex is really good.
Very good.
So I want to talk to you about that, but also talk more in general terms of like what people should be looking for when they're looking for a piano.
Well, I go back to myself. I think it's like how do you control it, right? Is the piano playing the way that it sounds, first of all? You don't want a really light action and something that's like super dark and muddled. Right? If it's super dark and muddled, I picture something a little bit heavier to bring out those nuances of a dark tone, right? You really kind of want to wrestle with that. Something lighter that's maybe more bright. You want control over that brightness, right? But really just the quality of the build. When I think about pianos, I think about instruments that can be passed down from generation to generation, something that's part of your home, something that's part of your family. And you can't really achieve that unless the instrument speaks to you. Does that make sense? I mean,
Makes all the sense.
Absolutely.
and if your piano is acting up on you, causing a lot of maintenance issues, how are you going to connect to that instrument? It's all about the build, right? How and the materials, right? And I think Steinway does a really good job at providing a really amazing piano while keeping the margins very lean. If you go out and shop any other luxury brand piano, they're going to be more expensive than Steinway, but they kind of skimp out on the materials, Like Steinway uses an all wood action, very, very expressive, very freeing tone, and you get that in the Boston and the Essex as well. The Boston soundboard comes from the same forest that the Steinway soundboard comes from. The rim is all one piece like the Steinway rim. So there are a lot of similarities in the Boston, in the Essex that the Steinway also has, while keeping the price rather much lower.
Well, remarkably lower.
Yes.
Like very affordable. I think when you talk about a good solid practice piano for really anybody, if you've got any kind of budget that you're looking at, like you can't go wrong with a Boston.
That's right.
I
agree. And they're the practice room piano. We wanted to make something in the 80s and the 90s. There were a lot of piano manufacturers. There were probably about 15,000 piano manufacturers in the world. And Steinway was getting a little expensive. And we wanted to create something that was middle and low priced for students, teachers, piano connoisseurs that were just getting into it, that enjoyed the Steinway touch, enjoyed the Steinway tone, but maybe the Steinway wasn't too reachable for them yet. We wanted to give them something more immediate. So we came out with Boston and Essex. And what we did was we put out a bid to all the piano manufacturers in the world. And in the 80s, Boston ended up being produced by Kawai. And in the 90s, we found a piano company. It goes back and forth. But for Essex, Pearl River, I think, is who makes a lot of our pianos over there. But we have Steinway employees in those factories using Steinway designs, Steinway materials, American materials that emulate that of the Steinway, but we offer it at a lower cost.
So talk about that, because I think, obviously people know, like the sound of a Steinway when you hear that,
Yes.
that beautiful bell quality on the top end, and the mid range is always, really expressive and gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about like the Bostons and the Essex, I mean, I hate to even say the quality is less, because the quality of the build is still amazing.
Yes.
But what is somebody? I'm trying to understand even what I'm asking right now. But what is somebody? What is somebody going to experience when they play one of these other instruments?
Yeah. Boston, I think, is such a clear tone. I think they boast a lot of clarity. Pianos in the Boston and the Essex price range kind of lack in that, in my opinion. You don't have a lot of control over the dynamics. Mm-hmm. You can't really achieve small pianissimos and big fortissimos like you can on a Boston or an Essex. The control is just much greater.
Right.
I think the action on the Boston is incredible. Essex and Steinway too, but it's all the same. It's all the same action geometry and same designs, all wood.
Well, so go back, because you kind of said that quick.
Yes.
The geometry, the actions are all the same.
Yeah, the geometry is the action.
Yeah.
We call it action geometry, basically the design of the mechanism behind the key.
Amazing.
What influences the hammer to come up and hit the string? It's all Steinway designed, right? And I think there's 52 moving wooden parts per individual key, which, think about that, is like, I couldn't assemble that in my garage if I wanted to.
Well, I always think about that. Like when a piano is, like when you're playing a piano and you look at the inside, it is such a remarkable
Mechanical wonder.
It really is.
And they came out with this in 1853.
Unbelievable.
1836 was when Henry Steinway built his first piano. It's actually at the MIM in Scottsdale. If anybody wants to go and see it. First Henry Steinway ever built was in his kitchen in Seesen, Germany. And it's from 1836. We call it the kitchen piano, and it's in the MIM.
It's in the MIM.
It
It's
is
in the
in the
musical.
MIM.
musical
We're going.
Museum.
We need to
We're
go.
going.
You have to go.
Okay.
You
Go
and
see
me,
it.
we're going.
Because the factory's going to call it back and put it in our museum in New York. So go and see it while you're there. The MIM is a great place. They have a lot of wonderful
MIM is the musical
instrument museum. Yeah.
instrument museum.
Yeah, and they have a lot of fantastic Steinways there.
They
Go
have.
check it out. But then you think, like, he built this in his kitchen. Insanity. And it's
Exactly.
still here
Yeah.
in Arizona, of all places. You think about, I'm getting on a tangent here, but Boston and Essex, they emulate that of the Steinway. And that action is so crisp and responsive and clear. That's what you get when you buy Boston and Essex. You're buying something that's durable, something that can be in a practice room, played on 24/7, something that you can have in your house and your kids can play it and learn on it and grow up on it and develop an emotional connection to it. And then when they're older and they get really good, they can trade it in for a Steinway.
Exactly.
Well, and to me, I think that's the important thing is like, because it is all about the action. Like it's all about how the key feels on your hand, and if you can get that close, because when you're practicing for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours,
Days even.
and days even, when you're practicing, like it's like what we talked about before. Like you never know what instrument you're gonna sit up.
We never know.
And if you can mimic as close as you can the feel of an authentic, Steinway, the sound isn't going to be exactly the same, but the feel will, and you can actually practice what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. A lot of kids come in here and they play the concert grand for their recitals and whatnot.
Right.
And when they play it, they fall in love with it, and it's just, incredible. But there's no reason that you don't deserve the same thing at home. And while we realize you don't have 9 feet in your house for a concert grand, those Boston and those Essex pianos, they really tend to do the job really quite well. It's the closest that you can get to having a concert grand in your home of any other piano brand, in my opinion, where you can really get those nuances out, those colors, those dynamics, all of it. The full expression is, I think, limitless.
Well, and I want to talk, because we've been talking about as a musician's point of view, which I think is most important, being a musician.
Yes.
But I also think, like, if you're looking to purchase a piano, it's important to think about. The piano, for the most part, is going to be the largest piece of furniture in your house.
Yeah, it's invasive for sure.
And so it's important to, like, have something that, and I'm not going to say says something like in some, like, but it's important to have something that's beautiful.
Yes.
I see a lot of people who have beautiful homes, and you look at their piano and you're like, ugh. I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
I agree.
I've seen that too.
And so I'm not saying, you need to buy a Steinway because it's, as a status symbol. But what I'm saying is, if you have a nice place,
You have to.
why wear white tennis shoes when you're wearing a suit, Mike?
That's
I said that to you, okay?
a clean look. It's a clean look. It's modern.
Or it makes you look like an old man. Apparently, I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Not at all. Not at all.
No,
But you're right. You're right. It's in concert halls too.
concert halls too.
Concert halls too. Like, you want to attract good artists, you gotta have a good piano,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
If you want Aline Boy to come play at your hall,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it has to necessarily be a Steinway. I'm just saying it might help.
Steinway always helps.
I mean, a Bosendorfer could be okay too.
Yes.
But
Great piano. Great piano.
Thank you. I'm honored.
oh well, it's true. I want. We need. Do you have any thoughts as we close up? Any, like, what? Okay, let me ask. I'm going to ask you a direct question to finish up. Like, what is special about piano music? What is special about the as a pianist, like the things that you're able to do, what you're able to say, like what makes the piano the perfect instrument?
Well, the possibilities that you have in the instrument and in terms of music as well. Piano is an orchestral instrument. The possibilities that you have to really play as an orchestra.
And when you say an orchestral instrument, you mean it can fill the role of the entire orchestra?
Exactly. You can be playing solo, but you have all the orchestra with you. You have all the different nuances and possibilities. So the piano is a very special. It's my instrument. It's like I really have to make that choice. I had to make a choice between organ and piano, and I think I made the right choice because of the possibilities that the piano brings.
Yes.
And you are a great organist.
Oh, thank you. Heard me playing the organ. Yeah.
I'm
Thank
with
you for saying that.
You
I
did
appreciate
make a
it.
good choice.
Yeah.
Henry, what about for you? What makes, like, specifically piano music special, and what the piano can bring to our culture?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing is that anybody can play it. Anybody can learn.
Exactly.
And you're never too old, never too young to learn. I have an 88-year-old student, and I have a 7-year-old student.
Whoa.
And the gap
Awesome.
is huge. Yes, right. And it's that's really interesting. But I think it's mostly the stories that you can tell with it. You can tell stories with it, and the piano itself tells a story. I mean, these heirloom pianos, like my piano, my grandma learned on. I wish I was a fly on the soundboard, as we say. But the other part of that is developing a connection with your teachers, with artists, with students. I mean, it's just a connection instrument. They say the piano is a lonely instrument, but when I first heard that, I was so confused by that. I said, why is it a lonely instrument? Well, you practice by yourself, but you share it with other people. People connect to you through it. You know, somebody that speaks German on the other side of the planet can speak to you because they hear you, they listen to you, and they know you when they hear your music.
It's the first AI instrument.
It is. Well, we can talk about Spirio later.
Well,
Just kidding.
Well played.
Yeah. But anyway, that's my story with it, at least, and I wouldn't know myself without it. So.
Well, Henry, Aline, thanks for joining me on my humble little show. I really
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much.
This has been a lot of fun for me, and talking about my favorite instrument as well.
Our favorite.
It's just remarkable, and thanks for inviting us to come here at Steinway and Sons and see the amazing. If you're in Scottsdale and you want to check out some amazing pianos, just come right here on Scottsdale Boulevard and check out the Steinway and company, Steinway and Sons pianos. They always have the most beautiful pianos in Arizona.
Well, thank you very much.
And talk to Henry.
And talk to Henry. Tell them the And If Love Remains sent you.
Okay.
He'll give you a discount of 0%. I'm just kidding. No, but I do. I really appreciate it. And you talk about the piano being a connecting instrument. I really appreciate how the piano has connected us.
Yes.
Like
I agree.
that's a big deal to me. And the associations that I have been able to, develop has been absolutely precious, and I owe it to the piano. So thank you, Chip Brimhall. He's my teacher for teaching me.
Here, Chip.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Mike.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mike is gone.
You are listening to And If Love Remains.
Gone but not forgotten.
First of 23 installments requested by Dr. Levitt. Trying to be in compliance here because we're taking him and that whole organization down.